In a small village nestled between the rolling hills and vast savannas of East Africa, lived a boy named Juma. Juma was from the Zulu tribe, known for their bravery and strength. He had kind eyes and a smile that could light up the darkest night. Not far from Juma's village, across the river, was another village where a girl named Amina lived. Amina was from the Maasai tribe, famous for their colorful clothing and rich traditions. She had a laugh that sounded like music and a heart full of dreams. One sunny day, Juma went to the river to fetch water for his family. As he filled his pot, he heard a soft voice singing a beautiful song. Curious, he followed the sound and found Amina, sitting on a rock, dipping her feet in the cool water. She looked up and saw Juma. Their eyes met, and they both smiled. "Hello, my name is Juma," he said shyly. "Hello, Juma. I am Amina," she replied with a warm smile. They talked for hours, sharing stories about their tribes, their families, and their dreams. Juma loved hearing about the Maasai's dances and their tall, elegant huts. Amina was fascinated by the Zulus' brave warriors and their powerful drums. From that day on, Juma and Amina met by the river whenever they could. They became best friends, and soon, their friendship grew into something more. They fell in love, but they knew their love was forbidden. The Zulu and Maasai tribes had been rivals for as long as anyone could remember. If their families found out, they would never allow Juma and Amina to be together. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Juma and Amina sat by the river, holding hands. "What are we going to do?" Juma asked, worry in his voice. "Our families will never understand." Amina squeezed his hand and said, "We must be brave, Juma. Love is stronger than fear. Maybe one day, our love will bring peace between our tribes." They made a promise to each other that night. No matter what happened, they would find a way to be together and show their families that love could unite even the fiercest of rivals. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Juma and Amina's love grew stronger, but so did the danger of being discovered. One morning, while Juma was helping his father in the fields, he heard the village elder, Bobatand, calling for a meeting. Everyone gathered around, curious about what was happening. Bobatand, with his wise old eyes, looked at the villagers and said, "There have been sightings of strangers near the river. We must be careful and protect our village." Juma's heart pounded in his chest. He knew that if anyone saw him and Amina together, their secret would be out. He had to warn her. That night, under the cover of darkness, Juma sneaked out of his hut and ran to the river. He found Amina waiting for him, her face full of worry. "Juma, I heard about the meeting. What are we going to do?" she asked. Juma took her hands in his and said, "We need to be more careful. We can't let anyone see us together. But remember, Amina, we promised to be brave. We will find a way." As the moon shone brightly above them, Juma and Amina held each other close, drawing strength from their love. Little did they know, a pair of eyes watched them from the shadows. It was Kito, a young boy from Juma's village, who had followed him out of curiosity. Kito's eyes widened with shock as he realized what he had seen. Kito quickly ran back to the village, his mind racing. Should he tell the elders? What would happen to Juma and Amina? The next morning, Kito couldn't keep the secret any longer. He went to see Bobatand, the village elder, and told him everything he had seen. Bobatand's face grew stern as he listened. He knew the news would stir trouble between the tribes. Bobatand called for another village meeting. When everyone had gathered, he began to speak. "Last night, it was discovered that Juma has been meeting with a girl from the Maasai tribe. This is a serious matter that concerns us all." The villagers gasped and murmured amongst themselves. Juma's parents looked at him with shock and confusion. Juma stood tall, though his heart was pounding. "This is true," Juma said bravely. "Her name is Amina, and we love each other. Our love is not something to fear, but something to cherish. The villagers were silent for a moment, then voices began to rise. Some were angry, others confused, and a few were curious. Bobatand raised his hand to quiet them. Juma, love is a powerful thing, but our tribes have been at odds for many generations. How can we trust this? Bobatand asked. Juma looked at the elder with determination. I believe our love can bring peace. If we, who were born into rivalry, can find love, then maybe our tribes can find peace too. Just then, from across the river, a group of Maasai appeared. At the front was Amina, holding her father's hand. The Maasai chief stepped forward, his face serious but calm. We have heard of the bond between our children, he said. We are here to speak of peace, not war. If Juma and Amina's love is true, perhaps it is a sign that we can finally set aside our differences. The Zulu villagers looked at each other, surprised by the chief's words. Bobatand nodded thoughtfully and said, "Let us talk, then. Let us see if this love can indeed bring us together." For days, the elders of both tribes met and discussed. Juma and Amina waited anxiously, hoping for a good outcome. They continued to meet secretly by the river, finding comfort in each other's presence. Finally, a decision was made. The Zulu and Maasai tribes would hold a great feast by the river to celebrate a new beginning. Juma and Amina were overjoyed. Their love had not only survived but had also brought hope to their people. On the day of the feast, the two tribes came together. There was dancing, singing, and laughter. Juma and Amina stood at the center, hand in hand, their hearts full of joy. They knew their journey was far from over, but they also knew that they were not alone. With their love, they had paved the way for a brighter future. As the sun set over the river, painting the sky with brilliant colors, Juma and Amina looked at each other and smiled. They knew that their love story was just beginning, and with it, a new chapter in the history of their tribes. But there were still many challenges to face, and their love would be tested in ways they could not yet imagine.